All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the real number system. So first things first, let's go ahead and give proper definitions for all of our numbers. That way we know exactly what we're comparing when we put it in the Venn diagram. So the natural numbers are the counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, anything like that. In theory, you could count to 1,000,000. You're not going to waste your time doing that, but that is still considered a counting number because I could count there if I wanted to. Then we have the whole numbers, which is the counting numbers in zero. The only difference between the natural numbers and the whole numbers is that the whole numbers include zero. So the only number that's a whole number that's not a natural number is indeed zero. Integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So we have -2, -40, 300, 12, anything like that. Those are all integers. So looking at this trend so far, natural numbers are also whole numbers. Whole numbers are also integers, so we're just going to build off each other. Rational numbers are any numbers that can be written as a fraction. Now think about a whole number. The whole number 2 can really be written as 2 over 1, which is written as a fraction. So rational numbers would include natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, any number that can be written as a fraction, or a repeating or terminating decimal. So we have 1/3, 0.2587, 2, anything like that. Irrational numbers is a number that has a decimal that goes on forever and does not repeat. So pi and any square root that is not a perfect square is an irrational number. Now, when we think about rational or irrational, they have nothing in common. So if something is rational, it cannot be irrational and vice versa. The real numbers, well, at this point in your life, the real numbers are every type of number that you know. You don't know anything besides the real numbers. So rational and irrational numbers are all real. So our Venn diagram, we start with the natural numbers. Remember, that's our counting numbers. And then from the natural numbers, we build off to the whole numbers. So looking at this image, you can see that the natural numbers are completely inside the whole numbers. So if something is a natural number, it is also a whole number. Then we have the integers, which encompasses both the whole numbers and the natural numbers. So in this case, if it's a natural number or a whole number, it's also an integer. But not all integers are natural numbers. For example, -5. Natural numbers and whole numbers are both positive. Then you have rational numbers. So these numbers include decimals and fractions. Integers cannot have decimals or fractions. They're just positive or negative whole numbers. Rational numbers is where we start adding the decimals and fractions. Then we have the irrational numbers, which are the decimals that will go on forever and never repeat. And then the real numbers encompasses all of it. Everything that you know are the real numbers. So here, the number 2, I want to figure out where I'd place that. Well, 2 is a counting number, so it would go in the natural numbers. But if it's in the natural numbers, it could also be in the whole numbers, the integers, the rational, and the real. So we go from the inside out. Here we have -5. Well, -5 is not a fraction or decimal, so we can move past rational. It is not positive, so it cannot be whole and natural. It has to be an integer because it's the opposite of a whole number. Then let's see. Ooh, my computer is a little bit frozen. We have 0. 0 is not a counting number, but it is indeed a whole number. So it's going to go in the whole numbers list because it's not a natural, but it is a whole number. If it's a whole number, it's also going to be an integer. It will also be rational, and it will also be real. -2.4, well, rational numbers can be negative. This decimal terminates, meaning it does not go on forever. So it is a rational number. And last but not least, we have pi. Well, pi will go on forever and ever and ever and never have an end. So therefore, pi is an irrational number. But since pi is an irrational number, it is still a real number because remember, real numbers encompass everything that we know.